To the left, we have the TCL R655. To the right, we have the Hisense U8G. This is a full array local dimming television from last year, and it is beating the pants off of the TCL R655 mini LED in terms of black levels. I wanted to show this off because this is something that's going to go widely misrepresented. I'm in the Spears & Munsell UHD benchmarking disc for anyone who wants to replicate this result. Its near black handling is just trash. I don't know if algorithmically there's something wrong here, but as you see with text on the screen and a situation where you should have black levels, it's gray. Now, believe it or not, I've already done something to try to make the TCL look better. So let me show you. If we open up the settings menu here and we go down to, let's say, local contrast, which is local dimming, it's already set to high. Now, I've actually gone even further than that, and I went down to LED motion clarity, which is the black frame insertion technology, and I turned that on to give the black levels a little bit more help. If we turn that off, look at what happens to the black levels. They get hazy. We don't want that. But you want to know something that's hilarious, proof that this is a crappy television? If we go to local contrast, which is the local dimming, and we turn it off, watch what happens to the black levels. They get darker than when you have local dimming enabled. Is that fucking wild or what? Like, yes, sure, there's a general haze to the picture overall comparatively to the Hisense, but the black levels are better than when you have local dimming on. And this is everything that I say about making sure that companies live up to their claims. See, they're just slapping mini LED on the box, but when you use the local dimming technology, it doesn't work. Now, you can try your hands at going through medium and low, but all it does is, again, it'll make it dimmer, but at the same token, you're not getting the full extension of the black levels. You're just disabling local dimming, which again, for that, off looks the best. And it makes no sense that this is happening algorithmically, so that's something that we should, at the very least, represent here when we're talking about black levels. Now, for a dramatic effect, I'm going to boot that sequence up again, and I want you to look at just how hazy and gray it is to the left on the TCL R655 versus the Hisense to the right. Ready? Here we go. Okay, so we did the 100 BT709 for anybody again wanting to replicate it, and look at how gray it is versus the full array to the right. Look at that. That whole sequence there was just really gray. And as this kicks on, look at the color and the depth coming off of the Hisense. Even though the Hisense, by the way, is at more of an angle, off axis than the TCL, the Hisense still is maintaining better blacks and better color. Now, I've gone ahead and fast forward to Chapter 6 on the UHD benchmarking disc for Spears & Munsell on the TCL R655. And again, comparatively against the Hisense U8G from last year, just look at the haze on this menu right now as it's paused, and you can see pretty much everything that's wrong with it. Now we're going to go ahead and hit play here and clear out the menu, and you can see again more of the same. The blacks are not black. They don't look good. And again, it's just a hazy, disgusting mess. And look at the Hisense. It looks like an OLED compared to the TCL R655. And again, you saw that example. I can show you in real time after the sequence clears. It's going through each scenario. You're seeing the roses look more vibrant. Every color makes more sense on the Hisense. So when I told you the Hisense U8G is an amazing TV, I'm not joking. But as promised, open up the menu here, and I'm going to show you again, local contrast is set to high. That's their best local dimming. And of course, the mini LED, or rather the LED motion clarity is still turned on. So I still did my best to give it its best shot in terms of turning on the technologies that are supposed to work. Unless we're to believe that the local dimming zones that they're selling you on, right, which is mini LED, right, you now have to disable the local dimming. If you have to disable local dimming for the black levels to be inky on this set, return it. Because at that point, they are not selling you what they're telling you. I mean, look at this. Check this out. Real-time example. I went ahead and backed out of that. I'm going to start the loop over again because you won't get a better example than this opening sequence here, right? With all the text on the screen, okay? So I paused that. And I'm doing this to really show you and bring it home for you guys that this is what it is, okay? So it's paused. We're going to show you, again, in real time. I love doing this in real time because while people are being goo-goo gaga about how great it is, I'm going to show you the truth without any reason to lie, okay? And I get passionate about this because I don't like being manipulated or lied to. And like, if you tell me you're selling me a mini LED TV and you're tightening the zones, making it closer to OLED, and then you do this, where, again, picture settings, local contrast, turn it off, and the black levels are deeper than what the mini LED local dimming on, that is a problem. Why did I just buy your TV? That's my whole thing. And I think a lot of people have to start asking that question. And again, the clarity now is better and the black levels are a little bit more uniform. While they're still hazy, it's still more uniform. However, this is not going to be the case across the board for every example. For this particular one, it totally is. Now, perfect proof of what I was just saying is this right here. So I'm on YouTube now and I ran an ad. And as you can clearly see now, black bars and black levels are uniform and they look fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up picture settings and again show you local contrast is set to high. So I'm not doing anything different there. And we have the LED motion clarity, which is the black frame insertion technology on. Okay. And again, if we turn it off, everything gets brighter, but it does come at the sacrifice at accuracy. And we don't want to do that. So again, there's a reason for everything here, and I'm just making sure you guys know that the TCL has been fully optimized. We're not doing anything to make it look worse. Now, if we go to local contrast and we turn that off this time around, everything still gets darker and it still does, in my opinion, look pretty good. Now, you will see clouding if your set has some of that. I saw some of that on my end, so I went ahead and enabled it. Again, just showing you it looks better with it on in some situations as well. If we look at this demo content, this is kind of what I'm talking about. You can clearly see that like now the mini LED algorithm knows to be tricked and to perform correctly because this is demo content. I feel like it's just a programming thing. When you're in real content, it's not as intelligent as you saw. We were in the Spears and Munsell UHD benchmarking disc. We saw actual examples on that disc, and where the near black performance was gray and hazy, on the TCL, the Hisense remained uniform. And I can only suspect that that's going to be something that's going to show up in different kinds of content pieces on maybe Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus or other things, to where maybe the algorithm doesn't know to be tricked by demo looking content, and well, guess what happens to you? You end up with a crappy representation of things. Now, the Hisense is the brighter TV, so if colors look like they are not as vibrant as the TCL, that is not the case. They are way more vibrant and the TV is significantly brighter. To prove that, I can just lower my ISO down like by a tick, and you'll probably see a lot of those same colors that were looking not the best kind of show up again. And again, you'll see it here. Just making sure we still have time on the demo. And it's crazy to watch this back and forth happen, because it's like nobody tells you that the full array from last year is so much better in every single way possible, but it is. It truly is. Like, and it's the same price. Well, actually, no, it's cheaper. This 65-inch Hisense U8G going for $949. Now, I don't recommend you do that. I recommend you buy the brand new one, which is the U8H, if you can get your hands on it. But of course, it's been selling out like hotcakes because it is an amazing TV. So it's hard to find that. Good luck. But either way, the U8G is an excellent alternative if you want something now and you don't want to wait. But I mean, like, can we run that back though? Like, what I'll do, I'll run it back to about here, okay? And I'll show you that part where the girl's face was visible, waiting until about here. That was just ridiculous. Like, the clarity on the U8G right now looks like OLED. And again, it's not like the mini LED is doing the worst job I've ever seen. I will give it credit where credit is due. Colors are vibrant enough. They're getting enough of the job done. But it's the Hisense that's pulling ahead. If we look carefully, right, we're pixel peeping now. The warmth in her skin tonality, more accurate than over there where there's slightly more magenta casting. If we look carefully at the umbrella having more variance in the shade of purple because of the red hue that's mixed into the purple, allowing it not to look as blue and as cool as it does here, which is not the accurate shade of representation. The same thing goes with the purple on her shirt here. Just more accuracy, more richness. The lipstick here, more richness. And it's all about what Hisense is doing this year is building upon what they did with the U8G. And could you imagine, I mean, look at the clarity right now coming off of the U8G. This is a full array local dimming television, not a mini LED, full array. And it is slaughtering the mini LED in terms of clarity, which shouldn't happen. Now, again, I'm using demo content because, of course, we want the TCL to still have a fighting chance here, but there can be no doubt the Hisense is not playing around at all. Now, as we start to get to these ribbons, the Hisense is tripping up more than the TCL in terms of uniformity. I can see it really noticeable around these areas here, and I'll try to open up my ISO to kind of show that off here. Right about there, you should see just more hazing in general. It's not like it's a terrible picture, but there is hazing, and that's the thing that we don't really want. If I open up my ISO too much more, it'll blow the image out and it'll look like a mess. So again, no reason to lie about what I'm seeing here, just telling you as it is. But for the most part, the U8G is doing a significantly better job overall than anything I'm seeing on the TCL, especially with colors. I mean, like the blues right now are ridiculous. I'm watching this in real time, the highlights, everything. It's amazing. And I don't have to use tricks to try to enhance the black levels. I can just enjoy my product. And I think that is so important when you're buying a TV at any price point, because who the hell wants to sit there adjusting and readjusting and dialing in and all that stuff? I mean, the highlight here, like amazing on the U8G. It's brilliant, breathtaking. Everything you would expect mini LED to do, but TCL not really hitting quite at that level because, as we mentioned earlier, we had to turn on the LED motion clarity feature, which is the black frame insertion, to kind of help those black levels out a little bit more. If I were to turn that off, the black levels would suffer, as I've shown. We don't need that. We want it to be as close as it can, so that's what I had to do. There was a reason why early on in the review process I was like, hey, listen, don't buy this TCL R655. It truly is a garbage TV from today's metrics as far as picture quality. It's very dated looking. Again, it's not the worst thing you could buy on the market, but it's pretty bad. Your options are very limited and you don't have a lot of tools to control picture quality. And I think that's something that should be noted here. In terms of being the better sports TV, I would give that to the Hisense U8G every day of the week. The TCL's motion is terrible. First thing I noticed immediately, motion blurring as the characters are panning across the field. I saw that right about, I want to say, somewhere around here. It was really bad. Like, the panning motion issues are just almost legendary. It's like motion blur is attached to every play that will be made across the field, where the motion is clear and visible on the U8G. Slow this down in YouTube and you can probably see some of the motion issues that TCL is happening. Watch this football now. Boom, throws it. Terrible on the TCL, looks amazing on the Hisense. And then of course there's the real representation of color on the field. Everything's more vibrant versus cool and dead looking on the TCL. So again, when we talk about the sports motion and the big game, even though this might be a better option, I guess, for people looking for a 75-inch maybe on sale or whatever, still don't buy the TCL, because when you want to watch the big game, you are going to be seeing crappy motion and that's going to terribly ruin everything about that game for you. In terms of which one is going to be the better gaming TV, the edge goes to the Hisense U8G in terms of picture quality. But in terms of refresh rates, the TCL has the advantage at being the 144 Hz television. However, I cannot stress that the picture quality is so disparagingly worse on the TCL to the point where you're going to wish that you bought the other TV instead. You're just missing that vibrancy, that clarity, that detail. The Hisense really does look like it's in a league all of its own when you compare it to the TCL. That's how bad the TCL does. Now, full disclosure here, both TVs are fully optimized. I am a professional calibrator, master TV calibrator, I would even say, because I use standards that are beyond reference calibrations to make these TVs shine better than they ever could on their own. If you want to see what that's like, make sure you join, get my settings, and see what the real deal's all about. But that being said, this Hisense is able to reach this level even without my settings to some degree, just because it has that potential, that talent. I mean, the clarity alone is just mind-blowing. I honestly didn't expect the Hisense U8G to do this good. I knew it would win, but I didn't know it would be this bad. If you remember in that review that I did, I told you that I didn't even need to compare them to know that the Hisense was better. And here you're seeing it in real time. The Hisense is just slaying the TCL in terms of pretty much everything that matters. And if you're a gamer, you're going to feel this big time, and you're definitely going to regret buying the TCL, because as I look over the TCL, everything is pale. I want more color, I want more vibrancy, and it's just not there. And I think after a while, that's going to get old. So really, whether you look at games, movies, TV shows, sports, For the most part, the better experience is going to be on the Hisense U8G. The TCL has massive inconsistencies, as you saw with its local dimming, where it can be tripped up on things like the Spears & Munsell UHD benchmarking disc, which at first you might not think is a big problem, but like in this trailer, for example, now I'm seeing the same issues where the blacks look pale. So there are moments, again, where near black can just start looking gray on this TV randomly. And I think that's something TCL maybe can fix with a future firmware, but we're not there. We're talking about the product in front of us today, and today they have this problem, and so it's something to bring to your attention. Furthermore, I think the problem with the TCL is that they are trying to probably sell their Vidrian 8K television a lot more than they should be, to the expense of picture quality on their 6 series. TCL is a budget brand, and they need to remember that people are buying them because they want a good deal. They're not buying them because they're an established luxury brand, and they need to stop trying to be that first and foremost at the expense of their bread and butter that made them what they are today. I personally believe that this is a massive step backwards for TCL. Not only did they go back to the garbage Roku platform, which is very restrictive as far as your TV settings, but additionally, as you see here, they've got some near black issues. Now, if you can't see it, I'm sorry, but I'm telling you, it's real. And if you compare this Assassin's Creed trailer to a Hisense, you're going to see it immediately. Now, YouTubers probably aren't going to tell you this. They're not going to be as straightforward and as forthcoming with it, but it's there. And I think overall, I know it might seem like I'm just hating on the TCL for the sake of hating on it, but this is critical feedback necessary for them to improve these issues. I really hope that they compete, because I love watching arrogant brands like Sony, Samsung, and LG get taken down a peg by the underdog, but it's hard to choose. It's hard to choose this TV when they've really just decided to walk backwards, and I don't think that's something anybody would want. So the message for today is, simply put, this is a budget TV in every aspect of the word, even against a so-called budget TV like the Hisense U8G. This is a full array TV, and it has better performance, as you see, in pretty much every scene that matters and that counts. And when that's the case, I think you're just better off buying the Hisense U8G for less money, because it goes for $949 versus over $1,000 for this TCL currently. That being said, if you have questions about these two TVs or any others, ask me in the comments down below. Thanks for watching the #1 brand in honesty. The winner is the Hisense U8G. Until the next time, I'll see you guys later.